going on all? Thanks for tuning in once again. Let's talk Manny Pacquiao versus Barrios. Hard to believe, hard to believe that Pacquiao is fighting at 46. No exhibition title shot against Barrios. It's very hard to choose Pacquiao to win this one, just because of age. Pacquiao's a guy that let's face it, he's a legend. He's a big puncher, quick hands, moves a lot, southpaw, short fighter, 8th division champion, legend in the sport. But, he didn't look too good against Ugas. Barrios beats up Ugas. So, Barrios can punch. Barrios, although he's tall, he's got a punch on him. He can definitely hurt Pacquiao at this age. Pacquiao isn't really a defensive fighter. He's a guy that likes to come forward. And Barrios has got a big punch on him. So, I don't really like the fight, to be honest, just because Pacquiao's been out of the ring for that long. We don't know if he has what it takes. We don't know if he still has that reflex that he used to have, the power that he used to have. We don't know if he's still the same guy. We know Father Time's undefeated. It would have been good to see him have a tune-up if he is making a comeback instead of fighting a dangerous fighter, a guy that's beaten up Ugas, like I mentioned. So, for that reason, I'm going to choose Barrios to win the fight by stoppage. I don't think he knocks out Pacquiao. I think he stops him. I think that maybe someone throws in the towel. Just because I haven't seen Pacquiao, for that long. He's been out of the ring so long. I think last time he fought Thurman, he was 40. I know that he beat Thurman, but, that's 6 years prior. That's a long time. 46 years old is not a young fighter. People could say, well, Foreman, he was 44, he was the heavyweight champ. That's heavy. That's heavyweight. I think he was 45, actually. That's heavyweight, This is welterweight. Heavyweights, they carry their power longer. Foreman was a guy that fought completely different to Pacquiao. He was a guy that would have a crossbar defense. Pacquiao's a guy that moves a lot with his head but comes forward, combination puncher. Completely different than Foreman. But both have a big punch on them for sure. Pacquiao straight left is very dangerous. Even at 44, power, like I say, is last to go. So the only way that Pacquiao wins this fight, and it's a big if, it's a huge if. I know that Pacquiao, Pacquiao versus Barrios, on paper, you would think Pacquiao would win, but this isn't prime Pacquiao. This is 46-year-old Pacquiao. Father Time's undefeated, as I mentioned. So the only way that Pacquiao beats Barrios, in my opinion, is by hurting him early. Slow down the legs. Pacquiao's not going to be able to withstand too much punishment. Because, Barrios is a guy that he likes to fight. He likes to trade. Watch the Davis versus Barrios fight. He's trying to take Davis's head off. He's not going to hold back against Pacquiao. So the only way that Pacquiao has a chance here, in my opinion, is if he goes for it and tries to hurt him early, to slow the momentum down early. Get Barrios guessing. Try to take his legs away from him. Try to hurt him, stun him, get him in survival mode. You know, sort of what Dubois done to Joshua. You know, hurts him early, then Joshua's on survival mode. You know, that's what Pacquiao needs to do against Barrios. He needs to hurt him early. I'm talking 3 rounds max. So try to hurt him before Barrios starts, you know, taking over with his youth, with his power. I don't think that Pacquiao's going to have the reflex to avoid Barrios at 46. I just don't, you know. I think Barrios is going to catch Pacquiao in between shots. So Pacquiao's got 3 rounds to really hurt Barrios. If he can't hurt him or stun him, land something meaningful within 3 rounds to slow him down, to you know, slow down the momentum, get him thinking, take that aggression away from Barrios, you know, by making him respect the power early, by landing something flush. If he can't do that, then Barrios is going to beat Pacquiao. I'm calling it a stoppage. I don't see this fight going the distance at the age of 46. I can see it going 2 ways. Either Pacquiao knocks out Barrios within 7, so stuns him early, then knocks him out within 7 rounds before his youth fades away, you could say, you know, before Father Time kicks in. Or Barrios stopping Pacquiao late rounds, someone throws in the towel, you know, that sort of fight. No one wants to see Pacquiao get beaten up, you know, at 46. And I believe that that's what will happen if Pacquiao can't hurt him early, if he can't stun him early. And he definitely has the power to do it. I just don't know if he has the speed and if he's got that agility, quickness, you know, that off the mark speed where he just jumps in and lands 3, 4, 5 punch combinations and is effective to the point where Barrios gets caught flushly. I don't know if he still has that. So I'm going Barrios stoppage late rounds. I'm hoping that Pacquiao wins at the age of 46. I mean, I believe he already is the oldest. Correct me if I'm wrong, I may be wrong. I believe that he really is the oldest welterweight champion in the sport of boxing when he beat Thurman. I think that was for the belt. He was 40 years old, welterweight champion. At 46, I mean, Pacquiao, I think he's just one of those guys that, you know, just like Klitschko, he wanted to make a comeback, you know. All these guys want to make comebacks. They're just great fighters that need to be stopped convincingly, you know, basically, as they say in boxing, you know, I want to fall on my shield, whatever the case is, you know, I want someone to physically stop me before I'm going to give up the sport, you know. Pacquiao's one of those guys, a true warrior. But, you know, he's fighting a dangerous fighter. Watch Barrios versus Ugas, you know, watch that back, you know, after the fight, Ugas looks beaten up, you know. Not only does he look beaten up, you know, he gets dropped as well, you know. So it's a very concerning fight. I'm hoping that Pacquiao wins, but at the same time, I mean, if Pacquiao does win, who does he fight? Innes, you know. I don't really want to see Pacquiao fight these prime fighters. I mean, Barrios is only 30. If there's a fight that I would want to watch, is a Pacquiao versus Mayweather rematch. You know, if he's going to make a comeback, some rules in there, but, you know, Pacquiao fighting a guy for his title that's in his prime at 46. I don't like the fight. I don't want Pacquiao to get hurt. Basically, that's what it is. Leave your take. Who do you see winning? And I'll catch you next time. Peace.